Hello, I'm Casey Mulqueen, Director of Research and Development for TRACOM.
And I'm Natalie Wolfson, Organizational Research Consultant. So Casey, we're here to learn more about resilience and why it's so important in today's workplace.
That's right, so let's start with the basics. What is resilience?
A lot of people would define resilience as flexibility and being able to bounce back from adversity.
True, but it's more than just bouncing back. In fact, a better way to describe resiliency would be bouncing forward. Resilient people find opportunities within challenges, and they do more than recover, they grow and even thrive after adversity.
And it's also important to success in the workplace. Research on resilient employees is clear. Their job performance is better and their commitment to their employer is stronger. Maybe most important, resilient people aren't paralyzed by change. Instead of responding to change with pessimism, they find opportunities for themselves and others.
That's important because change can be highly stressful. Related to this, since resilient people embrace challenges in the workplace, they're also better equipped to keep workplace stress from bleeding into their home life and vice versa.
So Darwin had it right. It's not the strongest of the species that survive, nor the most intelligent, but the one most responsive to change.
You got it. Even in biological and evolutionary terms, resiliency is key to survival.
If being resilient is so clearly to our advantage, why do people struggle with achieving it?
This quick experiment will help explain. Think of words to describe the emotion expressed on this woman's face.
She looks upset or worried.
Most people describe her that way, or with some other negative emotion. In fact, her face was computer morphed to be emotionally neutral. It can be interpreted positively or negatively. This phenomenon that most people describe her in negative terms highlights something called the negativity bias. Humans are hardwired to focus on negative rather than positive things, like a frowning face rather than all the smiling people in a crowd. The negativity bias affects all people, and it means we see threats where none exist, we often feel overwhelmed, and we fail to see opportunity in adversity. This prevents us from being as resilient as we can be.
There's a lot of research to support the negativity bias. For example, when exposed to positive, negative, and neutral stimuli, electrical activity in the cerebral cortex is strongest towards the negative. So you're right, we're wired to focus on the negative. The explanation is in our past, our prehistoric past, that is, and it's known as the fight or flight response. In prehistoric times, our predecessors had to be hyper-vigilant to threats, animals, poisonous foods, accidents. Survival depended on the ability to respond to danger successfully. Avoiding the distractions of life's pleasantries often meant the very difference between life and death. Those who could best focus on the negative were the ones who survived.
Fast forward to modern life, and unfortunately, evolution still affects us today, leading us to see danger where none exists. For example, when a person's boss calls and asks about some figures, the immediate instinct is to perceive a threat. This prehistoric response can leave us in a state of chronic stress and anxiety, and we don't even realize it.
Sounds grim.
Well, here's the good news. Being aware of the problem is the first step in overcoming it. In recent years, we've learned how to counteract this negativity bias, and we've even discovered that by changing our response to adversity, we're literally rewiring our brains. Advances in brain imaging have found that the brains are much more malleable than we previously realized.
So even though our evolution can't keep pace with all the changes and stress we experience, we can still learn strategies to help ourselves. The brain evolved like an onion grows, from the inside out. The area highlighted in pink, the limbic system, is the most primitive part of the brain, and is where the fight or flight response and the negativity bias originate. In particular, a small structure called the amygdala releases adrenaline and other stress hormones that prepare us for action. This saved our ancestors from predators, but unfortunately the fight or flight response still impacts us today, resulting in unintended consequences.
Fortunately, the prefrontal cortex, a newer section located at the front of the brain, offers us logical reasoning and problem solving. This newer portion of the brain helps us control the stress response that we get from the amygdala, and it's also the basis for enhancing resilience. Here we've identified the 5 most common stress triggers in the workplace. These are things that cause people to experience the fight or flight response, resulting in emotional distress.
Looks like some pretty common scenarios can trigger some pretty ugly responses.
Exactly. Why don't we talk about the characteristics that lead to resilience?
Sure. Resiliency comes from 3 broad categories, each with specific characteristics.
The first is how you filter or interpret the world around you. It's very internal and not always observable to others.
The second is ACT. It deals with how you handle challenges and is more observable to coworkers.
Finally, there's interact, or how you communicate and connect with others. For the most part, this is also behavioral and can be seen by others. Let's break it down even further. Under the first category, filter, we have personal responsibility, or the belief that success is determined by one's own talents.
High scorers here take an active approach to life and are less prone to depression or stress.
Next, there's realistic optimism, or the tendency to see the world in a positive but realistic way.
Realistic optimists believe the future will be good, but prepare for challenges.
And our final element under filter, personal beliefs, is the sense that life has deep meaning and purpose.
People strong in personal beliefs feel connected to causes they see as larger than themselves. They have personal values that provide them with comfort.
Next are the 4 traits found under the ACT category, the first of which is self-assurance, or the confidence to succeed at work.
Those with high self-assurance have deep interest and commitment, so they perform better when faced with obstacles.
Next, self-composure is the ability to productively manage stress and remain calm under pressure.
Those high in self-composure maintain focus, dealing with challenges rationally.
Then we have problem solving, or the ability to plan and resolve issues effectively.
These individuals define challenges, gather relevant information, and form innovative strategies using reason, logic, and creativity.
And our final element under ACT, goal orientation.
These people set ambitious but achievable goals, monitor progress, and adjust behavior accordingly.
This brings us to our third and final category, interact. The first of the traits found here, courageous communication, is the ability to speak openly and candidly.
These individuals share their ideas and don't hesitate to approach difficult conversations.
Last but not least, there's social support, or the perception that one is part of a supportive network.
These individuals do not necessarily have a large quantity of relationships, but high-quality ones, bringing a sense of security and comfort. Those are the elements that make up resiliency, and our resiliency assessment identifies each person's strengths and undeveloped areas of resilience. In our resiliency training programs, we show how you can use specific strategies to enhance resiliency.
These 6 strategies are challenging our automatic negative beliefs with more rational thinking, using mindfulness, an empowerment technique we call act as if, expressing gratitude, giving, and goal setting. These 6 strategies collectively address the 9 elements of resiliency. That's an overview of TRACOM's adaptive mindset resiliency model. To learn more, visit our website and read our white papers and published articles on the topic.
Thanks for joining us.